What's my last name?
If you can't remember, I can't tell you.
It's important.
You're part of a time travel experiment that went a little caca.
A little caca?
We're experiencing technical difficulties in retrieving you.
That's great, Al. I wake up in 56 with a memory like Swiss cheese, and you're experiencing technical difficulties? Whose brainchild is this, yours?
No, not mine.
For decades, we looked at him as the ultimate time-traveling savior, a brilliant scientist leaping from life to life to put things right that once went wrong. But underneath the nostalgic adventures of Dr. Sam Beckett lies a deeply unsettling psychological horror story that most fans completely missed. We were told the Swiss cheese effect was just a quirky side effect of the quantum leap accelerator, a temporary glitch that left his memory a little foggy. The tragic reality is much darker. It was a terminal condition. Over the course of 5 years, we watched the man's identity slowly dissolve in real time. He did not just forget names and dates, he forgot his wife, he forgot his family, he forgot himself. So we have to ask the heartbreaking question: did Dr. Sam Beckett stay lost in time because he wanted to save the world? Or did he keep leaping because he simply forgot how to be Sam? When Dr. Sam Beckett first stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished, the immediate aftermath was pure chaos. In the pilot episode, titled Genesis, we see a man waking up in the body of a test pilot named Tom Stratton, surrounded by a world he does not recognize. He is disoriented, panicked, and suffering from a profound case of amnesia. Admiral Al Calavici, appearing as a holographic projection that only Sam can see and hear, quickly gives this memory loss a catchy name. He calls it the Swiss cheese effect. At this early stage, both Al and Sam treat this mental fog as a frustrating but temporary technical glitch. It is simply a side effect of forcing a human brain through the fabric of time. During these early leaps in Season 1, Sam is fundamentally still Sam. The holes in his memory are terrifying to him, but they are localized. He remembers that he is a brilliant scientist with multiple advanced degrees. He remembers the millions of dollars and years of research poured into Project Quantum Leap. Most importantly, he retains his core motivation. He is acting out of sheer, undeniable desperation to get back to his own time and his own body. Every action he takes, every mission he completes, is driven by the singular hope that the next leap will be the leap home. He is not a willing martyr yet. He is a man trapped in a burning building, desperately looking for the exit. His mind is sharp enough to actively fight the amnesia. He constantly questions Al, demanding details about his past, his project, and the mechanics of his current predicament. The Swiss cheese effect is a hurdle, an annoyance that slows him down, but it has not consumed him. He still possesses a fierce grip on his original identity. He knows exactly who he is, and he is fighting tooth and nail to hold on to that reality. He believes that once the leaping stops, the holes in his memory will fill back in, and his life will resume exactly where he left off. But the project was never designed for long-term exposure, and what started as a few missing memories was about to become a permanent unraveling of his entire psyche.
The illusion that this amnesia was somehow protecting him shatters completely during the emotional climax of Season 3. In a devastating two-part event titled The Leap Home, the unthinkable finally happens. Dr. Sam Beckett leaps into his own 16-year-old body back on his family farm in Indiana. For the first time since the project began, the dense fog of the Swiss cheese effect completely clears. The missing pieces of his identity flood back into his conscious mind. But instead of bringing relief, this sudden clarity brings unimaginable agony. He looks across the dinner table and remembers everything. He remembers that his father will die from a massive heart attack in just a few short years. He remembers that his older brother, Tom, will soon be killed in action during the Vietnam War. He remembers that his sister is destined to marry a horribly abusive man. Suddenly, the mission is no longer about helping strangers. The overwhelming weight of knowing his own tragic family history and having the power to change it pushes Sam to the absolute brink of his sanity. He becomes erratic, desperate, and completely consumed by the need to save the people he loves. He realizes a terrifying truth during this leap. The memories he fought so hard to recover are actually destroying him from the inside out. Remembering the faces of his family, feeling the deep love he has for them, and knowing he might be powerless to stop their suffering breaks his spirit in a way that endless time travel never could. The Swiss cheese effect was not just a side effect, it was the only thing shielding his brain from the crushing grief of a life he left behind. He manages to save his brother Tom, but he fails to save his father, and the emotional cost of that failure is staggering. The brief, agonizing taste of his real life makes the cold isolation of his leaping infinitely worse. The fragile pieces of his mind are beginning to crack under the immense pressure. And what happened next would shock everyone, pushing his fractured psyche past its absolute breaking point.
The cracks in his mind finally gave way during a terrifying event in the finale of the third season, known to fans as shock theater. Dr. Sam Beckett leaps into the body of a patient trapped inside a psychiatric facility in the 1950s. Before he can even get his bearings or figure out what his mission is supposed to be, the unthinkable happens. He is strapped down to a medical table and subjected to intense electric shock treatments. This brutal jolt of electricity does not just scramble his current mission, it completely shatters the delicate, crumbling foundation of his own mind. The damage is immediate and catastrophic. Up until this point, his amnesia had been a passive erasure of his past. Now, the condition violently mutates into a terrifying psychological collapse. Because his original memories are so full of holes, there is nothing left to anchor his true consciousness. Instead of his real identity fighting to the surface, the empty spaces in his brain are completely hijacked. The lingering personas of the dozens of different people he had previously inhabited suddenly rush in to fill the void. These ghostly echoes take total control over his body. He begins speaking with their distilled voices. He acts out their specific mannerisms. He starts frantically reliving their past traumas as if they were happening right then and there. Within minutes, he wildly cycles through the lives of a frightened secretary, an aging pool player, and even a ruthless mobster. Dr. Sam Beckett is completely submerged, buried alive under the crushing weight of other people's memories. This horrifying sequence serves as the ultimate turning point for his character. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that his core identity is rapidly deteriorating. His own sense of self is no longer strong enough to withstand the compounding trauma of living so many different lives. The mental container that holds the brilliant scientist he used to be is fracturing, and the contents are spilling out into the dark void of time. His brain is actively being overwritten by the sheer volume of strangers he has helped. Admiral Al Calavici desperately manages to force another leap to snap his best friend out of this dangerous mental state before his brain completely shuts down. But the permanent damage was already done to his fragile mind, and what the time travelers started to forget next was the most heartbreaking tragedy of all. The most heartbreaking casualty of this mental deterioration was the complete erasure of his ultimate anchor to reality. Her name was Donna Eleese. In the first season, during an episode titled The Star-Crossed, Dr. Sam Beckett accidentally manages to alter his own personal timeline. By tweaking a past event, he prevents the brilliant woman he loved from leaving him at the altar. When Admiral Al Calavici later reveals that the timeline has successfully shifted and Sam is now a happily married man, it should have been the ultimate driving motivation. The lost time traveler now had a loving wife desperately waiting for him back at the Project Quantum Leap Control Center. She was his true north. She was the primary reason he needed to find a way back home. But the dark reality of the Swiss cheese effect is that it does not discriminate between trivial, everyday details and the most important people in a person's life. As the years drag on and the leaps relentlessly multiply, a deeply unsettling pattern emerges in his behavior. Donna simply vanishes from his immediate thoughts. The desperate husband who should be fighting every single second of every single day to return to the arms of his wife simply stops asking about her. The intense, burning desire to reunite with his soulmate is slowly replaced by a terrifying, empty blank space in his mind. Imagine the agonizing pain Donna must have felt, standing in the control room, watching the man she loved save the world over and over again, while simultaneously knowing that his memory of her face was dissolving into nothingness.
his brain, struggling to survive the constant jarring whiplash of waking up in new lives, begins treating his own marriage as just another discarded memory. He does not intentionally abandon her, but the severe neurological toll of the time travel forcefully dissolves the emotional connection he had to his own past. The profound tragedy is not just that he lost his wife to the cold void of time. The true horror is that the condition completely stole his ability to even miss her. He stopped fighting to get back to Donna because the very concept of her love had been permanently wiped from his mental hard drive. And as the remaining memories of his personal life faded entirely into darkness, a chilling new mindset began to take shape in the later years of his journey. As Dr. Sam Beckett entered the 4th and 5th years of his journey, a chilling and profound psychological shift occurred. The terrified, desperate scientist we met in the early days was completely gone. If you watch those later missions closely, you will notice a drastic change in the way he speaks and the way he reacts to his environment. The frantic questions about how to fix the machine stop entirely. The desperate pleas to Admiral Al Calavici to find a mathematical loophole to bring him back to his own time are replaced by a weary, hollow resignation. He no longer talks about going home. Instead, his entire vocabulary shrinks down to a single, repetitive mantra. He is simply there to put things right that once went wrong. This is where the darkest layer of the Swiss cheese theory fully materializes. The amnesia was no longer just a symptom of the time travel. It had evolved into a necessary psychological survival mechanism. Think about the sheer volume of trauma his brain was processing on a daily basis. He had lived through gruesome murders, terrifying wars, horrific accidents, and relentless heartbreak over and over again, dozens of times a year. If his mind had retained the crystal-clear memory of his own comfortable, peaceful life back at Project Quantum Leap, the daily contrast would have driven him permanently insane. His brain had to forcefully wipe his personal hard drive just to keep his body functioning. He stopped being a human being with his own hopes and dreams and slowly transformed into a numb, hollow vessel built entirely for the purpose of carrying other people's burdens. He accepted his fate not out of some grand, heroic bravery, but because the Swiss cheese effect had successfully deleted the version of Sam Beckett that wanted to be saved. He was no longer a man trying to find his way out of the maze. He became a ghost who forgot he ever lived outside of it. But the ultimate test of this psychological erasure was still to come, and it would culminate in a final decision that left the entire world completely stunned. The ultimate test of this psychological erasure arrived in the deeply controversial and unforgettable series finale titled Mirror Image. Dr. Sam Beckett suddenly finds himself in a mysterious, otherworldly tavern, standing face to face with a cryptic bartender who also happens to be named Al. This is not just another random mission. This enigmatic figure drops a massive revelation that completely shatters the entire foundation of the last 5 years. He calmly explains that the time traveler was never truly at the mercy of the quantum leap accelerator. The shocking truth is that Sam has been subconsciously controlling his own leaps the entire time. The machine was never actually broken. He always had the power to return to his own time whenever he wanted. If he always possessed the power to go back, why did he subject himself to a half-decade of relentless trauma? This brings the devastating reality of the Swiss cheese effect into sharp, heartbreaking focus. He did not return because the very concept of home had become completely alien to a mind so utterly riddled with holes. The brilliant scientist with a wife and a life waiting for him was entirely gone. He was replaced by a fractured savior who only understood existence through the narrow lens of fixing other people's tragedies. When finally presented with the ultimate choice, he does not choose his own happiness. He chooses to make one final, deliberate leap back in time to save Admiral Al Calavici's marriage to his first wife, Beth. He willingly sacrifices his only chance at a normal life, knowing he will likely never return.
But while this final, selfless act cemented his legacy as a hero, it also confirmed the tragic, undeniable truth about what was truly left of the man himself. The tragic evolution of Dr. Sam Beckett is a story that goes far beyond the nostalgic charm of a classic television show. When you strip away the retro aesthetics and the feel-good endings of individual missions, you are left with a profoundly dark character study. The Swiss cheese effect was never a harmless glitch to be laughed off as a temporary inconvenience. It was a slow, creeping erasure of a human soul. As he sat in that mysterious tavern in the final hours of his journey, surrounded by confusing echoes of his past and enigmatic figures like the mysterious miner Stoppa, Sam was no longer the man who first stepped into the accelerator. The sudden appearance of Stoppa, an enigma whose very existence in that bar defied logical explanation, perfectly mirrored the deeply fractured, chaotic state of Sam's own mind. The brilliant scientist who founded Project Quantum Leap had effectively died 1,000 tiny deaths across 100 different lifetimes. Audiences naturally want to believe that he chose to keep leaping out of pure, unadulterated heroism. We want to imagine him as a tireless guardian angel who bravely sacrificed his own happily ever after for the greater good of humanity. But the psychological reality explored throughout those 5 years points to a much more devastating conclusion. He did not return home because the very concept of home had been entirely wiped from his memory. You simply cannot return to a place or to a person that your brain can no longer comprehend. His mind was so completely full of holes, so heavily burdened by the immense emotional baggage of countless strangers, that his original identity simply collapsed under the sheer weight of it all. Dr. Sam Beckett did not just sacrifice his life, he sacrificed his entire sense of self. He traded his own memories, his own family, and his own future to become an empty vessel for time itself. He kept leaping not because he was a fearless hero who refused to stop fighting, but because fixing the shattered lives of other people was the only thing his broken mind still knew how to do. And that is the true, unforgettable mental cost of the quantum leap.
Oh boy.
But what do you think about the Swiss cheese theory? Did Sam Beckett intentionally choose to stay lost to keep saving people, or did the machine simply break his mind beyond repair? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker side of television history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Retro Celeb Talk. We uncover the untold stories, hidden truths, and forgotten mysteries of your favorite classic shows and entertainment legends every single week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.